Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I wanted to do something a little bit silly to celebrate the holiday season. I wanted to go over the entire Mortal Kombat 1 base roster, as well as the DLC fighters, to determine who would end up on Santa's nice list, as well as who would end up on his naughty list. I'll be determining who ends up on what list based on the character's actions, their personalities, their tower mode endings, etc. This video is just my opinion, and in general isn't meant to be taken that seriously, like in the slightest. So if you feel I misrepresented your favorite characters, let me know in the comments below. But with that all said and done, grab yourself some cookies and hot cocoa as I try to determine which Mortal Kombat 1 characters are naughty or nice. Alright, so let's kick things off by going over all the characters that would show up on the nice list. Starting off was the one, the only, Liu Kang. Besides having created all known life in the current Mortal Kombat timeline, I think that Liu Kang deserves to be on the nice list due to his compassion. He was willing to give characters like Shao Kahn, Shang Tsung, and Quan Chi the chance to live a new life, free of deception and bloodshed. While these characters ultimately rejected the opportunities presented to them, the basic fact that Liu Kang was willing to give the worst of the worst a chance at living an honest life just goes to show that he's prime nice list material. Next up on the nice list is going to be Geras. While he might have been an emotionless brute in the previous game, this version of the time construct has shown great growth through his actions. Geras now watches over the timeline that Liu Kang built, valiantly protecting it from any and all threats. I feel like this new take on the character, a watchful guardian, qualifies him to be on the nice list. Simple as that, really. For this next section of the video, I'm going to be grouping Sindel and Ermac, or more specifically, King Jerrod, together. When these two served as king and queen of Outworld, they did so with compassion and understanding, instead of fear and intimidation like previous Outworld rulers in previous timelines. Sindel openly pushed back against characters like General Shao when he started to step out of line, and fell in battle trying to protect her timeline from Titan Shang Tsung's forces. King Jerrod is in a similar boat to his wife, having fought against the forces of evil upon being reunited with his family. Better yet, he remains alive and willing to guide his daughter Mileena as she takes on her new role as Empress of Outworld. For those reasons and many more, Sindel and Ermac get on the nice list. Next up, in a similar vein to Sindel and Ermac, we have Kitana and Mileena. Kitana being on the nice list is pretty self-explanatory, so I won't waste any time on her. I do, however, want to explain why I put Mileena here. Some would argue that her actions while under the effect of her Tarkat disease, specifically when she blinded Kenshi, should disqualify her from being on the nice list. Well, I would argue that since she quite literally couldn't control herself while under the effects at the time, that she shouldn't be held responsible for her actions. And even if she was, she more than made up for it later in the story, so yeah, that's why I think she should be on the nice list. Scorpion and Smoke are up next. While they may have initially followed Sub-Zero's rule, they did so under false pretense. As soon as both of them learned the truth about Bihan's deception, they instantly switched to the side of light and fought against Titan Shang Tsung's oppression. Not to mention, their creation of the Shirai Ryu as a direct competitor to the Lin Kuei should be proof enough of their devotion to combating evil. Next up, I'm grouping Li Mei and Tanya together, due to their roles as enforcers of the Outworld royal family. Both these characters take highly to their duty as protectors of the Outworld royal family, with both of them having deep personal attachments to specific members of said family. It's incredibly apparent that they'd be willing to give their lives if it meant seeing characters like Sindel and Mileena safe, which is why I think they're deserving of a spot on the nice list. While Johnny Cage might be a bit of a wise ass, he clearly has a heart of gold. This is pretty apparent when Mileena stabs Kenshi's eyes out, and it's almost like a switch flipped in his personality from that point forward. He becomes compassionate and caring for his blind friend, eventually giving him back his family's sword. This 180 in his personality, in my eyes, qualifies him to be on the nice list. Though speaking of Kenshi, the blind swordsman is up next. While Kenshi might have had a shady past given his ties to the Yakuza, It's clear that his desire to rise above his previous life shows that he's greatly changed as a person. I especially think that his time spent with Jackson Briggs should prove his dedication to taking down the forces of evil. Next, we'll be taking a look at Takeda. This is probably the hardest character on this list to get a reading on, as we still have no idea what his character is like in Mortal Kombat 1. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's almost identical to the Takeda we saw in Mortal Kombat X, which means he'll probably be Kenshi's son, as well as part of the Shirai Ryu. If both of these factions bestow their noble knowledge and principles upon the young warrior, then there's no doubt in my mind that he'll be on the nice list. Next up is Raiden. Raiden might honestly be the purest character on this list. He's extremely respectful to those around him, both friend and foe. He's extremely humble, and he's also willing to fight to the very end should it result in the vanquishing of evil. Any way you look at it, Raiden is a good boy who deserves to be on the nice list. Kung Lao is in a similar boat to Johnny Cage, being an extremely talented combatant with a huge ego problem. Though in my opinion, he's way more cocky than Cage ever was. This narcissistic attitude of his eventually rubbed off on his student Shujenko, which resulted in the young pupil going off the rails. Thankfully though, the young combatant was defeated before anyone got hurt, and the whole experience seems to have taught Kung Lao a great lesson in humility. I think for that reason, he should be allowed on the nice list, given that he understood his mistake and promised to rectify it going forward. Despite Baraka's monstrous appearance and bloodthirsty attitude, he's actually one of the more gentler characters on this list. Baraka has a strong sense of duty and an eagerness to protect those who suffer from Tarkat like him. I imagine this is a trait he picked up from his time as a father, which honestly just goes to show you that he's more human now than he was before he was infected. Though speaking of, much like Baraka, Reptile has gone through a lot of crap in his life. Not only was he ostracized from his people because of his ability to shapeshift into a human, but he was eventually forced to become Shang Tsung's servant in order to save what little family he had left. But just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, it turns out that Shang Tsung actually killed his family ages ago. And yet, despite all this hardship, Reptile still chose to fight with the forces of light against the forces of darkness. If that isn't nice list material, I don't know what is. Ashura might be a bit of a controversial choice when it comes to placing her on the nice list. After all, she has slain an unimaginable amount of creatures in her quest to purify her soul. But then again, all the creatures she killed came straight from the Netherrealm, so not much of value was lost. Seriously, it's like getting mad at the Doomslayer for killing demons. It's a public service. Oh, and she also freed her sister Serena from Quan Chi's servitude. So, yeah, she's definitely nice list material. And to cap off the nice list, we have Peacemaker. While Peacemaker was willing to destroy evidence of the United States committing war crimes on innocent civilians in the Suicide Squad movie, the Peacemaker TV show came along and showed us a more human side of the character. He genuinely showed growth and learned to be a hero, stopping an alien invasion in the process. I feel like this is one of those Darth Vader scenarios. Like Darth Vader committed tons and tons of atrocities, and yet he was still able to be redeemed. Yeah, I kind of feel like Peacemaker is in a similar boat. I don't know. Maybe he should be on the naughty list, but that's something for you guys to decide in the comments. Anyways, that, my friends, officially does it for the nice list. I think it's about time we went over which Mortal Kombat 1 characters would be on the naughty list. And to start us off, we have Sub-Zero. Not only did Bi-Han not do anything to prevent his father's death, he also betrayed Scorpion and Smoke by aiding with Shang Tsung. These traitorous actions earn him a prime spot on the naughty list. Next up, we have both Shang Tsung and Quan Chi, aka the Deadly Alliance. Both of these characters are pretty much responsible for all the conflicts found within the Mortal Kombat 1 story. You could argue that the real blame lies on Titan Shang Tsung for deceiving them, but let's be honest. They both probably would have tried to snatch that power from quote-unquote Damashi at one point or another. Also, simply put, they're just really freaking evil. Like, look at Shang Tsung's laboratory. Look at the stuff found within it. You think that's someone that should be on the nice list? No, absolutely not. Coal in his stocking now. General Shao is up next. His insubordination against Queen Sindel and attempts to overthrow her rule should be more than enough proof that he deserves a spot on the naughty list. In a similar vein to General Shao, Reiko is also on the naughty list. Given that he was rescued and trained by General Shao, Reiko is willing to follow whatever command given to him by the aforementioned war general. This, of course, includes his attempt to overthrow the Outworld royal family. Naughty naughty, Reiko. Nitara is a bit of an interesting case, since she's technically not good, but also technically not evil. Yes, she does feed on other living beings, but that's because she's literally a vampire. If she doesn't do that, she'll die. I was initially planning on putting Nitara in a special category where it would have been up to Santa to decide, so it would have been kind of like an in-between naughty and nice, until I remembered her tower mode ending. Yeah, needless to say, kidnapping people and forcing them to reproduce in order to farm food for your species is, well, pretty naughty. Hell, it's beyond naughty. It's straight up disgusting. Havik is next up on the naughty list. His burning hatred of Saito's government and its devotion to order has led him down a very dark path. And by very dark path, I mean like actual genocide. Like he quite literally commits genocide with Rain in this tower mode ending. You don't get much worse than that. Though speaking of Rain, he's next up on the list. While Rain did turn himself over to the authorities due to the guilt he felt for partaking in Havik's scheme, at the end of the day, he's still responsible for the death of thousands. I'm happy he was willing to take accountability for his actions, but again, those actions resulted in genocide. So I really have no choice but to put him on the naughty list. While I am aware that Omni-Man eventually has a chance to redeem himself in Invincible, the version of the character we see in MK1 seems to be taken from a point in his life before his change of heart. Which is to say, Omni-Man would be prime naughty list material due to his desire to conquer Earth and all of its inhabitants through any means necessary. And if we include that time he nearly beat his son to death, yeah, coal for him. And to close out the naughty list, as well as this video, we have Homelander. If you've ever seen The Boys, you should know why I'm putting him here. Homelander is a psychopathic, egotistical monster who says and does whatever he wants due to there being no one who can reasonably stop him. He constantly berates people, he kills innocent civilians, he's a raging bigot, he's basically the whole package. And, well, he's the reason why the naughty list exists in the first place. But with that being said, it's time to draw this video to a close. Thank you so much for watching. Did you agree with my placements in this video, or do you think I might have gotten something wrong? If I did, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. If you like this video and want to see more Mortal Kombat and crossover based content in the future, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. But before the video officially ends, I just want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one.